Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Anime, and welcome back to another, well I shouldn't say another, but welcome back to the first of hopefully a long stead of the channel, definitely a brand new segment of the channel called the Backweeb Boys Podcast. What it is we have 5 members of the Backweeb Boys, including myself. The other members will be on this podcast, obviously, and they will introduce themselves a little later on in this video. And we are going to just basically do this for different animes that come to an end at the end of the season, which Kakegurui, the anime that we're reviewing right now, just did. We're going to do it probably for My Hero Academia Season 2 next weekend, and an anime that we're all currently watching, an older anime, Soul Eater, we'll probably do it for that. Those are the 3 definitely on the radar, and obviously the first one is happening right now. So, Kakegurui was one of the summer 2017 animes that just came to an end. It was a 12-episode anime. We are going to go kind of just a more casual podcast. If you're familiar with my stuff over on Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, the podcasts over there were a little more stern, and we kind of followed a very steady line. This will be a little similar, but it'll probably be a little more laid back. So, the first topic will just be general impressions. These will be non-spoilers, so if you do not want any spoilers of the show, kind of a spoiler-free review, that is what you will get here. We're just going to give general impressions, whether we recommend it or not. The second topic will be storyline, animation, characters, basically full spoilers for our thoughts on the show. The third topic, we will talk about our favorite and least favorite characters. I just enjoy talking about the characters. That's just a segment that I really do enjoy hearing what other people think about certain characters and stuff. So, and of course, feel free to leave your thoughts on the show down below, or whether you are kind of on the fence of watching it or not, and we'll definitely, especially myself, will talk to you down in those comments. The fourth topic, would you like to see a season 2? What do we want to see happen in season 2 if it does happen? And last but not least, the ratings. We are all going to be rating the show on a scale of 1 to 10. So definitely some really exciting stuff. Before we begin, I'm going to have all the Backweeb boys kind of introduce themselves. It is myself. It is a man named Brad. It is someone named Forte, Lock-On, and Crimson Avenger. Brad, if you want to start with your little introduction, mainly Brad, because he is the one who has another anime channel, which I will link down below. You're more than welcome to.
Okay, so hi, I'm Brad. I do, as Dylan said, generally more niche anime content, so I've been covering things like gamers and New Game recently, and of course if you've seen my other channel, Exposed HD, you'll know I cover other content on there. I'm really looking forward to being on this podcast, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, glad to have you as part of the Backweeb Boys. Brad, Forte, Lock-On, and Crimson, if you guys want to just quickly go down and introduce yourselves, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Hey guys, my name is Forte. Thanks again, Dylan, and everyone for joining me on the podcast, or Dylan for hosting the podcast, and everyone for joining and sharing your thoughts. Like many of you who are watching / people that are on the podcast, grew up with anime. Anime has really shaped my life. It's just an amazing hobby and pastime. And I mean, I love anime. Happy to be here. Can't wait to hear everyone's thoughts about Kakegurui, and hope to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. So yeah, can't wait.
Sup, peeps? Yeah, man, let's do this.
Hey guys, I'm Lock-On Stratus, and I'm really excited for this Backweeb podcast, and I'm really hyped to see what others have to say about Kakegurui, man.
Yes, it will be exciting, and I'm very excited to see what others have to say about it, especially because it's like, I don't really know how a majority of people feel. I know some people hated it, I know some people loved it, I know some people were kind of on it, especially towards the end. I actually don't even know what really the Backweeb boys think about it besides myself, so this will be a fun conversation to hear what they have to think. I'm going to kick things off, general impressions of the show, non-spoilers. Also, I should have said this before, timestamps for everything down below if you want to skip to the full-blown spoilers to hear our favorite characters or whatever you want to do. Feel free to abuse those timestamps if you'd like. So, general impressions of Kakegurui, no spoilers. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, and towards the end of the show, it maybe got a little weaker. I would say I probably enjoyed the first half a little more than the second half, but the thing with me is one of my kind of hidden dark truths about myself is that I love to gamble. I love gambling so much. I really don't do it that much because it's obviously a problematic behavior. It's similar to, like, I don't want to say like drinking and alcoholism, but you have those two kind of go hand in hand, and I don't drink at all, so the fact that, like, it does go hand in hand, and if you don't drink, you don't really put yourself in like a gambling environment. For instance, I live probably an hour and a half away from Atlantic City, but I've only been there twice, and I'm now 23, but every time I've went there, it's, a blast. But I do control myself, but I still love to gamble. And so the fact that I heard a show that literally everything was decided based on gambling, your class, your fate, what literally happened to you, your entire life is a gamble, that seemed very, very intriguing to me. And so if you do like the gambling aspect, I definitely recommend. I would recommend with provisions, though, especially if you do not like ecchi. The show definitely has some pretty heavy moments of ecchi, and there's one character in particular that pretty much like rubs one out every other episode in in a bathroom stall. And so it's cool to see a cast of all female characters. And I think the like designs of these characters are beautiful. I think the animation, while it can be very, very unsettling, you have one scene where these girls look absolutely gorgeous, and the next scene they literally look like Satan has risen up and possessed their bodies. And so the kind of contrast difference between that is it's awesome, but at the same time it can be a little unsettling. So if you really are not into ecchi at all, and that is a massive turnoff for you, I would probably not recommend. But if you're indifferent on it like I am, or if you look for it in an anime, then this definitely is something I would recommend. Overall, it's 12 episodes. It's enjoyable. I would definitely give it a shot. And if anyone else wants to just take over, feel free.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on Kakegurui, and I thought it was an excellent anime to watch, and I probably would recommend it to others, like Dylan said, who are okay with ecchi and who love the gambling aspect and kind of like the twists and turns and throwbacks. That's what I would recommend to. And the thing about ecchi is it's not fan service ecchi, or it's not like overly excessive ecchi every episode harm like anime kind of ecchi. There's like couple moments of ecchi, but they're like really, I wouldn't say graphic, but kind of like the ecchi is like, it's ecchi, but it's like not overly excessive like to the point it gets annoying, but it's just like it's okay. It's like okay.
It's really only one character in particular, honestly, that's really over the top.
Yeah,
with it.
and there's like some fan service for the main character, but that's about it. It's not too much, but if it does turn you off, then I guess that's a shame. And anime is psychological, so there are like dark moments where you're gonna be like, whoa, this is like pretty dark, I need to step in the light or something like that. It's really fun, honestly. I had a blast, and I think most people would enjoy it. But I'm not a huge expert on gambling, so that might be why for some gambling experts, they're like, oh, this gambling is not right. It's like, I don't know about that, but for me, I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, that's my thought on it.
Yo, man, like, this show will put you at the edge of your seats. Like, prepare your anuses for this one. But it'll really put you on the edge of your seat or whatever you're sitting on when you watch this show. I really enjoyed the type of games that this show presents, my mistake. Like, you can take ordinary games you like, such as Uno and checkers, then just completely blow them out of proportion. Rules of a game that you're familiar with can completely change in a matter of seconds before the match even begins. If there's a game that you're unfamiliar with or never heard of before, the anime tends to take its time to guide you through and explaining you the rules of the game itself. I would recommend this anime to those who enjoy playing card games or board games in general, but I wouldn't really recommend this show to those who don't enjoy games at all, or just don't play those types of games that this show will present.
Yeah, I kind of have the same sort of overall consensus as Lockon and Dylan did, but I came from the background of not knowing really anything about gambling at all, and just the way this show manages to get the general gist of the rules of each game before the game even starts really does help out. It really does make things go along a lot smoother, and as you just come to, these characters are really good characters. You come to love them throughout the entire thing, and of course the ecchi, it is there, but if it wasn't there, I don't think the show would be as good as it is. And I'm not saying it's, again, as Lock-On said, it's not fan servicey at all, but it really does sort of make these characters more fleshed out and feel more genuine, I think, in a way.
Yeah, it's sort of like Brad. I kind of came into the show not knowing like anything about gambling. I really only know like a few card games, like freaking Go Fish or Old Maid or something like that. That's like about all I know. I also know a game called Nerds, which like it's a terrible game. Never play it. It's mostly just because I'm not good at it. But anyway, continuing onward. I think I would definitely give this show a watch. I recommend it because it's so short. It's 12 episodes. And also kind of like, I think what Dylan mentioned was or also Yuto. I think it was Dylan and Yuto mentioned this, that the show is kind of different from what you get every anime season. You're used to your shonen, your action, and, you know, your romance and your rom-coms. And those are all great because I watch those and love them as well. But this is kind of different. So it gives you like a different take because the theme is gambling and, not to spoil anything, there's not huge hints of romance or anything like that. It's just a different genre that you're not used to seeing. I think the animation is absolutely gorgeous. Sometimes some of the faces the characters make when they're being a little more sadistic or evil is somewhat unsettling, but in a good way. You can really feel the tension, which I really like. So my general impressions, I liked it. Like Dylan said, I think it started out a lot stronger than it ended. Not that it ended poorly or any means. I think it was also that it was something new and you were feeling the hype and you were getting introduced to the characters and the games. And since I don't know a lot about gambling, the games were also a great aspect because I'm sitting there trying to figure out the rules and learn the games. And it kind of felt like I was in the driver's seat, which is nice. The storyline, I really like the school setting. I like that the setting is about making your mark on the world and kind of rising up the social ladder. And this will also get into Jabami. Let me go ahead and also say, if I butcher any of these names, like if anyone from Japan or anyone who has like a huge knowledge of Japanese names, Yuto will probably cringe as it is.
Oh, come on, man. I won't do that.
Yeah, but if I butcher these names, I apologize. But going to my point, paralleling the society and the class president and the school to Yumiko, is also really important. I'll go ahead and say she was my favorite character in this anime, just because in the purest sense, she just wants to have fun and loves gambling. And she is what the president called like a snake has whittled into the school and all that. I thought that was cool just because her persona is completely opposite what the school represents. Is about climbing up the ladder while she just really likes gambling. Yeah, so my general impressions as of now, I'm not exactly sure what I should expect for season 2, but I would definitely like to see more of the show, and I would give it a recommendation to give it a check out just because it's so short.
All right, yeah, so awesome. So you heard our initial impressions of the show. Definitely pretty much everyone recommends it, and, you know, maybe if over the top, if I shouldn't say over the top, but just if ecchi is a huge turnoff for you, that'd probably be the only way to definitely maybe stay away from the show. But I definitely recommend it. It's a fun time, and we are now going to get into full-blown spoilers. So if you are halfway through the show and you do not want any spoilers or anything like that, then please put this in your watch later, turn it off for now, come back to it, because here we go. So you've been warned. Spoilers, storyline, starting with that. Personally, I enjoyed the storyline. There's a lot that we don't know about Yumiko, who is the main character, and she seems like this person who has kind of maybe a darker side, and like kind of where did she come from and why is she the way she is? And I mean, we do know some of her motivations with her sister and stuff, but like, how does she have a disgusting amount of money? And that didn't get explored as much as I would have liked it to get explored. And so I think that's kind of why maybe towards the second half, what I also noticed is in the beginning, a lot of the games were 1 episode long. And by the 7th episode, the games became 2 episodes long. So in the first half, we probably got about 4 or 5 different games where they introduced characters, and we saw these high stakes and these, really drama-filled, high-tension games with Jabami Yumiko and Mari and other people involved in them. And then the second half of the show, we probably only saw 2 or 3 games, right? We had the singing one, we had the Russian roulette one, and that was kind of it, because they became a little more fleshed out, and I think the pacing, because of that, kind of took a toll on the show, because we were used to this fast-paced one episode game, and then the last five of the last 6 episodes, we only witnessed 2 games and these long games, and it didn't seem like we got double the amount of character development in those games that we would have gotten in maybe the earlier one episode games that we saw. So I think that's probably why a lot of people, including myself, maybe feel that it whittled away towards the end. Also, the last episode had an anime-only, it was an anime-only episode. The last episode, not sure if you guys knew that, the last episode was an anime-only episode. The manga did something completely different, so that's another thing, that maybe that last episode, it wasn't, I thought, as great as it could have been, but still, it still was enjoyable the entire way through. I thought the plot was interesting. I would have again liked to see these characters explored more. I would have liked to see the vice president explored a little more. I thought Mary, I keep saying Mary, who was in the beginning introduced as, I thought, maybe a dual protagonist with Yumiko, or at least someone who was going to be extremely important. It seemed like by the end of the show, she was just a side character, and that development, of course, could come. But I just felt like there's still a lot of questions to be answered, and in 12 episodes, how many questions really are going to be answered? So, of course, there are some things that I would have liked to see explored more, and if we do get a season 2, it's very possible that those things will get explored more. I thought the animation, I touched on it in the first one, was really great. I thought the animation was, some of these characters were beautifully drawn at times, and at other times had literally looked like Satan rose through them and possessed them. So I thought the animation was interestingly done. The characters were interesting. It was cool to see so many female characters, because you're so used to your typical animes where it's a majority males, and if you do have females, it's maybe 1 or 2 really good female characters, or it's like barely any good female characters. Usually the males get the attention in this show, or in these shows, I should say, but in this case, it was completely different. It was completely reversed. The roles were completely reversed, and that was probably one of my favorite things about Kakegurui, seeing these badass females just kind of run the place, and I thought that was a cool change of pace from what we're used to. So that's what I thought. Lock on Ute, and we call them both. If you want to take over from there, more than welcome to, and we can just kind of bounce off each other at this point.
Okay, thanks for the interlude. So when I first heard that it was like a gambling type of anime, I kind of thought that if you read the Yu-Gi-Oh manga or saw Season 0, the Toei animation Yu-Gi-Oh, I thought it was kind of like the high stakes gambling to the life and death, somewhat like that. And I was kind of right, but at the same time, even though the concept is similar, the whole characters, this cast of characters is completely fresh. All the characters get development. All the villains are not like one-shot characters like what the manga kind of did. So, starting off, I really liked Yumiko. Like, she wasn't this like some perfect protagonist, like she was gonna like win for some justice or something like that. No, she wanted to win because for the fun of it, the heck of it. That was like kind of refreshing. If you see like most of the anime, shonen, or any anime, it's like the protagonist is usually a good guy, or I don't know. That's my intake on it. For the plot itself, I really did like the plot, because the plot is not evident through just a couple of episodes. The plot builds up every episodes, while the episodes like develop these new type of characters that Yumiko each gambles, and some become Yumiko's friends, and some become her enemies that she watches out. So most of the gambling I did like, but like the first few episodes, like each time they're introducing a character, I really liked it because they're introducing new characters, and the gambling is pretty good because each game is like a different game. And probably to the end of it, like Dill said, like I really did not get hyped as much as like in the very beginning, because it was kind of really long, stretched out a bit. But at the same time, I did enjoy it, but I did not hate it. But it was kind of little too long for me. But it's like only 12 episodes, so it's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, gotcha. That's the thing. 12 episodes, it's tough, and there are really a lot of characters in the show, so it's tough to do it in 12 episodes. But yeah, towards the end, I don't know if any of you other guys felt that way, but I just kind of felt it whittled out a little bit at the end.
And there were I wanted to add, there were like some characters I kind of wanted to know more about, like the loli girl. Not because I'm into lolis, please, but it's just like she seems, please. Oh my god.
Yo.
No, it's like she seems like really higher up in the council, but it's like, why did she get in the council in the first place? And also Mary, the freshman, she was in the council, but why did she get into the council for the first place? I kind of do want to see more of their backstories, but then again, it's only 12 episodes, so I'm not going to dwell too much into it because it's only 12 episodes, and they did really good amount of characterization for like other villains or other characters that we were introduced, especially that Revolver Girl. Oh god, please. No. So yeah, that's my intake on it.
Going off with you
that's
guys.
My intake on the storyline.
Yeah,
Wait, one thing for the animation. The animation is really good. I like the animation. Like Dylan said, the faces, the satanic faces, the chills are just so good. But the satanic faces are actually part of the show. It makes the watcher or the viewer at their edge of their seat. The tension builds up. And also, all the characters, or most of them, have backstories, and pretty messed up ones, and pretty realistic ones that are pretty relatable, or pretty to the extreme that you kind of feel sympathy and pity for the character. So it's really good intake on it. But yeah, that's my intake on it. I did like it for what it is.
Yeah, kind of going off what you guys were saying. I definitely think it dwindled off a little more at the end for me as well. Part of it may have been just because it was a new anime and it was a new concept, and I was just really hype at the beginning and really interested. And I did stay interested. I watched the episodes like on the regular as they came out, and I really enjoyed it. I just kind of felt like the pacing did seem to change definitely in the second half, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially now I was not aware that the last episode was an anime only thing, but I actually really liked what it did. So I wondered if the studio that adapted the anime was also thinking the same thing, because I was happy to see that they developed the main guy, Suzui, a little more. I was really glad that he kind of came out of his shell. And I kind of, towards the second half, after we were introduced to Sayaka, who is the president's aide, she's always with her. I think she's also the secretary of the student council. I really paralleled them, and I was happy in that last episode when Suzui seemed to really come out of his shell and say that he wanted to be with Yumiko, and he was willing to step up and do the gamble, if you will, put it all on the line and risk everything. And I liked that he did that as opposed to Sayaka, who, to me, I felt like, now this is just me personally, but you guys may have different opinions of her, but I felt she was really weak in the show. She always just seemed to kind of like follow around the president without like ever doing anything on her own. I mean, she even said that she was losing control of the council, and she just didn't really step up to the plate, I felt like. So I guess I've already revealed the characters I really liked and didn't like. She was definitely my least favorite, but I'm hoping to see more for her next season, like maybe develop her a little more. I really like Yumiko. Going off the faces once again, I really felt that they added great tension to the show. I felt like I was just kind of in the driver's seat seeing the faces, and it really kept me engaged in the show and kept me interested. But yeah, that's basically kind of like my general impressions with the story and all that. If they did any more with the season 2, I would definitely like to see more development for a lot of those characters. Maybe see Suzui grow up more. I did feel like we saw a lot of Yumiko. She was my favorite character, but I would also like to see more gambling matches between other characters who aren't Yumiko, kind of like we saw with Mary against Yuriko. If you don't remember, commenters, that was like the knife gambling game, and Yuriko was like over the culture division of the student council, if I remember that's the terminology they use. So I'd like to see more of that, like more interactions between other characters through the gambling scene. Things like that.
Well, very well said, Forte. And it's funny that you mentioned Sayaka, because apparently someone had told me that if the anime adopted the 12th episode, what the manga was, apparently it's something called like the Tower of Doors, and apparently Sayaka has a lot more influence in that game that would have been the game they showed in the 12th episode. So it's kind of ironic that maybe at the cost of her character they built up Ryota's a little bit, but that's just what one person told me. I don't even know if that's true or not, or maybe that's something that will happen in season 2, but I think it's kind of interesting that you did bring up Sayaka. But Brad, what are your thoughts on Kakegurui? Full-blown spoilers.
I think you guys kind of covered everything with the storyline and animation. Again, it did initially, I was hyped at the very beginning quite a bit, and then it just sort of dwindled out a little bit towards the end. It was still good. I still really enjoyed the final 4 or 5 episodes, and some of the games they played in that were really, really interesting. But for me, the one thing that I think was a bit of a letdown with the show is how Yumiko managed to, every single game pretty much, or for the majority of them, she would lose the first round, and then she'd bet again. And of course, because everyone in this school has just this mindset of, they must gamble and they love to gamble, then they end up falling into her trap of, she now knows the game that they're trying to play, that she knows how, if they are cheating, they're cheating. She's worked out their strategies, and after 12 episodes it kind of got a bit annoying to see the same thing happen over and over again. I think that's really my own real major complaint that I had with the show. Other than that, animation was beautiful. Characters, I'll talk about it with my least favorite character, but I really didn't like Suzui. Just from what Forte said with regards to the final episode and how I think he changed too much from where he was in episode 11 to episode 12, and I'll get into that a bit later. But yeah, overall impressions, really, really good.
Awesome. And so we're gonna just go right into favorite and least favorite character, because it's actually hilarious that Brad just said Suzui was probably my favorite character in the show. So I think that's hilarious. But hey, that's why we're the Backweeb boys. We're not here to necessarily agree with each other. We're just here to give food for thought. And I do understand the reason he was my favorite character is just mainly because I can relate to the guy so well as a more quiet person, which I think probably everyone in this call kind of is more of a quiet person, and someone who maybe doesn't take charge and step forward when they get the opportunity to. He just reminded me a lot of myself, and I feel like I always try to think, if I was in this world, what would I do? What would I be like? What character can I really relate through? What character can I kind of see this world from? And I thought Ryota was someone that I related to extremely well. He was kind of a quiet guy, maybe a little bit of a coward, but at the same time, I feel like he's the only sane one in the entire school. And yeah, in episode 12, I think maybe I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing him come out of his shell a little more and just blurt to Yumiko that, like, this isn't just for her. He's literally doing this not only for her, but for him, because of how much she's helped him through the show. Remember, he was a house pet, and if it wasn't for Yumiko, he would still be a house pet, and his life would have been pretty much over, because when you're a house pet, your life is absolutely trash. And so he basically owes everything to Yumiko. So to see him, put it all on the line in that final episode, I thought was awesome. Yeah, maybe it didn't, to what Brad had said, maybe it was a little too quick to see that happen from episode 11 to episode 12, and that could go back to the pacing and also the fact that this was an anime-only episode. This didn't actually happen in the manga. So I still liked him, though. I liked him a lot. Jibami Yumiko was great. She was a great protagonist, and I feel like most of us probably have Yumiko in our top 3 characters. But Ryota is probably my favorite, honestly. He's probably my favorite character in the show, just because of how much I could relate to him and how I felt he was the only sane one. As for least favorite, there wasn't anyone that I really disliked. I thought Mary had a lot of potential, and she kind of fell off. The crazy Lolly, there's definitely a lot more about her, because she was on the phone with someone who looked like could have been the maybe the season 2 antagonist, but obviously we'll talk about that when we talk about season 2. I really don't have a least favorite character. If I had to pick one, maybe it's the Revolver Girl, because she's just really, really insane. But I'm not even going to rant about her because I didn't really hate any one particular character. But yeah, that's just it for me. So if anyone else wants to say their favorite, least favorite, go right ahead.
Okay, I'll go off. So starting from my favorite character is got to be Kaeda Mayuda. I forgot, what was he?
Monuda.
Was he? What was his role?
Right,
I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so
he was the treasurer.
Okay, that made more sense. Okay, so the reason why I like Mayuda is not because of his personality, but how much I kind of relate to him. Like Dill relates to Suzui, which is really interesting. Mayuda is like, if you see his backstory, he was, as a kid, he wanted to be a co-pilot for the airplane and stuff like that, but his dad is like, you're useless to me if you don't rule this world and you don't take my egoistic values and all this hard work. And that's how his dream died, and that's how his own dreams, his own ambitions, and his actually like sympathy, and like as a child he just died. Like he became this cold, calculating person, manipulative person who literally just says anything and he does anything to get what he wants, which I do understand because, like he said, like his parents, he lived in his parents' shoes. Like all his plans and all his future was set out by his parents, or otherwise he would have been discarded. So the tension and like the comparison and then all your parents' wishes, that's kind of like how I felt a bit, but not to that extreme, like you're going to get disowned or something like that. Yeah, my parents would never do that, but yeah, it was really interesting. But at the same time, it might have been cliche, but the cliche did work. And when he lost to Yumeko, you see him like in this, like him almost kind of fall while he's falling into the ground. All the stress is shown because all his hair turns black to white, which shows all the stress he's been kind of keeping inside of him and how much a loss means to him. It kind of and then because of the loss, he's in a coma, I think. So it's really interesting, like how hard he kind of lived. I know he's a character, but it's like, if you imagine him and put him into your shoes, how tough and how competitive and how despicable is it to live a life that's not even yours? Like, really? And also, the school I wanted to say is like, I cannot stand that school. I can probably never even live in that school. And I'd probably be a house pet because I cannot take the competitiveness, the tension, and all the anxiety. I have high anxiety, but it's like, oh, just imagine it. It's just like, oh my God.
That school is a living hell.
I'm worried for college apps, man. Oh my God. And yeah, but honestly, all the characters I really did like. It's just like, I didn't like them as a person, but I kind of like them how I kind of relate to them and how they were built up. Because the strong point of this show is the character development. It's really strong. And like, I like Suzui a lot, but I do understand like the jump for him, like from like episode 11 to 12, which I do agree with Brad because. And anyway, it was like only an anime-only special, so yeah. We don't know if it gets a season 2 and what it will go off of. And for my least favorite character would be the secretary, Sayaka? That's her name, I think?
Yep, Sayaka, yep.
Yeah, the yandere. Oh my God. I just... this is like somewhat a bias because I do not like yanderes at all. Like, it's just so annoying, to be honest. I mean, like, the problem is, like Dylan said, is like in episode 12 she would have done something bigger role. Maybe I would have liked her, but throughout the show, of course it's only 12 episodes, so I can't really judge her and hate her. So I don't really hate her, but towards the bias, I do not. It kind of turns me off, like her own yandere and the worshipping of the president part. It was just, oh my, yeah. But anyways, that's really it.
Well, yeah, kind of going off what you said, lock on / Yuto.
Yeah, call me whatever, man.
Going off that, just call you whatever I want. But yeah, kind of going off what you said, I think you made a really good point about Sayaka, because she's, as I said, she's also my least favorite character. Just because I understand her kind of being jealous of Yumiko, because she does seem to be getting the attention of the president, seems to be the object of her affections. No pun intended. There were some strong implications there, but nonetheless, I just kind of didn't like that she hasn't stepped up to the plate. And of course, this could all change in another season where she could become a stronger character and really be able to stand on her own. But it's kind of really the only reason she's my least favorite. I don't hate her. I didn't hate any characters really in the show. I will second that Midori, who is I'll just call her Gun Girl for now. She was a little intense. There was a few times where she made me feel a little uncomfortable. I was like, you need to just take a chill pill, calm down a bit. But at the same time, I liked her passion, and I feel like, once again, if a season 2 ever came, she has changed since her match with Yumiko, which seemed to be the theme, that Yumiko just kind of changes anyone she meets. Kind of typical anime theme, but I did like it. So going from my least favorite character, I'll go ahead and go to my favorite, which is Jabami Yumiko. I will agree with Dylan that I feel like we were supposed to be, Suzui was supposed to represent us, the audience, because there was one episode, and I remember it pretty clearly, where Yumiko was about to go against Nail Girl Sumeragi. I call her Nail Girl for obvious reasons. And
no,
he just said it aloud. He was like, he was just, I'm not talking about that scene yet, but he was just like, you're completely insane. He just said it, like, no, don't do this. This doesn't make sense. Why would you ever bet your like nails in a game? And I'm like, yes, exactly. Why would you ever do that? But nonetheless, I think Jabami Yumiko is my favorite character, and Suzui is a close second. I liked her a lot just because of what she represented. She was the exact, like, antithesis of the school's values, where you gamble to move up the ladder. It's all about family connections. It's not about having fun. It's not about any of that. While Jabami Yumiko is simply gambling for the pure, unadulterated fun of it, if you will. And it was weird that this duality exists within the school, between her and the school, as well as in Yumiko herself, because it's like she's pure, but at the same time she has all these weird like facial expressions and poses, and some questionable things go on, and it's like she's cute but also like really intense, if you will. So I just like that duality with her. So she's my favorite character in the fact that she represents, once again, that duality, as well as she seems to change a lot of the people she meets. And it's kind of weird. I felt like she does really genuinely care about Suzui, Mary, and Sumeragi a lot. I really do think she considers them friends. As she said to the class president, they're not allies or minions or tools, or whatever word she used. It may have been tools, but nonetheless, she really does care about them as friends. So I just liked her the most.
Wait, who's my favorite character? You didn't know? Yumaneko is bae, yeah. Bruh, Yumiko is like one of my favorite characters of the show. I'm pretty sure she's one of your guys' favorite characters too. Forte. It's just that Yumiko is insane, and I don't know, something about her insanity makes me like her. Like, you can take a game that involves so much high risk, and it's just, she doesn't care if she loses or wins. All that matters to her is that she has fun at the end, and she loves the risk. She thrives off of it. It somehow brings out sexual urges in her. I mean, that it's crazy, but Oh no, there'd be some moments like she just went ahead and activated her Sharingan, like her gambling Sharingan. Like she somehow she knows her opponent is cheating. And how does she know? I do not know, but she somehow finds out that you're cheating, and no, that whole Sharingan thing going on. I don't think that's the cause of it. I just think she has common sense on how the gambling world is. Even if the game is unfamiliar to her, once she knows how the game is and how she plays it, like how do you play the game, she'll just know anything. Like, okay, take the card. You take a card. Or say like you're matching cards. You matching the cards and you got them face down. You have somebody who's cheating and mark the cards in some form or fashion. Yumiko, on the other hand, she would notice this probably the first round or early on. She'll notice the markings herself. And then she'll play her opponent and somehow use their own manipulation against them, and makes her opponent like spaz out just because they know they're about to lose or they start losing. One episode, when she was going against one of the student council members, I forgot her name, but they was playing this one game like it's similar to Yahtzee, and we know that Yumiko is going to win. But the game was rigged once the student council president stepped in and kind of distracted them while I forgot her name, but while her attendees under the floor like replaced the dice or not replaced them, but they maneuvered them to a way that what's the name of when Yumiko would lose. So that episode it shocked the hell out of me because I'm like, whoa, Yumiko lost? But Yumiko knows that there was cheating involved, and it was she took God darn it, what was his name again? She took dude under the room, and she knew what happened. Yeah, she found the little holes that were there, and that it moved the dice. I was like, Yumiko, you are so smart. I mean, you may seem a little bit cuckoo, but girl, what is your number? Are you for real? Are you around in real life? If you are, give me your number. Let me find you. Let's go out on a date. Go ahead, take you out to Red Lobster. Give you some of them cheddar biscuits. Hook me up. Actually, me and 14 might have to duel for her. Because apparently I'm not the only one who has the hots for her. Think I didn't know, huh?
She is a great character. I loved Yumiko too. So Forte and Crimson both picked Yumiko as their favorite character. So Brad, will he make it the hat trick? I guess we're going to find out.
I am sorry to disappoint you, but my favorite was actually Dylan's least favorite. So
really? Yo, that's so funny.
We completely reversed on this. I really loved how ecstatic and just insane and mental Midori was. Her game was the only game where it was the only one where there was really any other consequence other than just, losing money and losing your status. There was life or death involved, and that was the point in the series where I sort of just started to take it a lot more seriously, and after that I think that's when it went off track a little bit. But just her backstory of her character, she wanted to join a student council, and she had to rip out her eye to do so because the student council president wanted to see what the back of an eye looked like or something. Mm-hmm. Just absolutely horrific images, and I really like the mental characters in this show, which is why I think Suzui is my least favorite character, because he has, as Forte and Dylan said, he is meant to represent us, and I think in this world that they've been trying to build with the show, I think the more insane characters really made this show for me. And one other character I do want to kind of touch on before I end is Sumeragi, who I was fine with up until that scene in episode 11, I think it was, where she rips off her nails.
Yes.
And it was the only time, I think, ever watching an anime that has made me feel like I'm going to throw up. It was just
Jesus,
absolutely horrific. And I think when I was watching it, I was in a Discord chat, and I literally just put like holy expletives, I think, was my reaction, because it was just didn't expect that at all, and again, just the insanity of these characters. It's why I love the show.
Yeah, well said. That scene, I agree with you. That scene was disgusting. I'm sure you guys know the one we're referring to. The scene where she just bites off all 10 of her nails.
Oh,
and blood
please don't remind me.
It's just in case any of the viewers forgot,
Oh my god,
disgusting.
But it was pretty strong.
Disgusting scene, and yeah, that kind of, I didn't mind Sumeragi, but after that, I was like, I can never look at this girl again, like the way I used to. That was a rough scene, but yeah. So those are our favorite characters. So me and Brad's favorite and least favorite are the exact opposite, which is actually really, really awesome. But it's always good to have conflicting opinions, and we're respectful on the Backweeb boys. We're not going to get into a if we were in the YouTube comments right now, you'd see 100 comment thread about how we need to take our own lives and how we are horrible human beings. But that doesn't get anywhere. Throwing some shade.
That's going to happen now.
It's fine. The people, 99% of the people who watch my videos are normal, sane people, and I'm very thankful for that. So I don't think it'll happen. I trust the people who watch my content enough to do that. But but anyway, let's move on to whether we want to see a season 2 or not. And then we'll go into ratings. This will probably be kind of quick. We're already like 45 minutes into the podcast. I want to see a season 2. I'd like to see it. What's kind of interesting is I read a couple different articles, and they pretty much all said the general consensus is, as of now, there is not enough manga source to make a season 2, and there might not be enough manga to make a season 2 until late 2018. One article even said mid-2019, and that would be them announcing it, and so we might not actually get a Kakegurui season 2. It seems at the very least another year and possibly 2 or 3 years. So unless they go on a completely different path and follow the anime and say screw the manga, which I doubt they would do. So that kind of sucks. I'd like to see a season 2. The lolly was on the phone with some character that we have no idea who she is, and she seemed pretty intense. She was in some dojo in some faraway place, and so clearly the lolly never played a game. There's a lot more to her character, as I think Lock-On mentioned earlier in the podcast. This new antagonist, it seems, will kind of be maybe an antagonist along with the president of the student council, which would be a cool dynamic to see, two kind of villain groups, and then you also have the lolly, who is in the student council, but maybe has other ambitions and is working with this other group that we know nothing about. So there's definitely a lot to be excited for about season 2. New games, new stakes, and I'm sure the stakes will just get more deadly and more high risk. And Jabami Yumiko will have a lot more obstacles to overcome in whatever her end goal is at this school, which will be very exciting to see. So yeah, basically I'd love to see a season 2, but it doesn't seem like one would happen for another at least 2 years, or at least another year, maybe 2. Anyone else has any thoughts on that?
I don't mind a season 2. I mean, Kakegurui, I do like it, but I'm not really hyped enough to, it's like, there must be a season 2. I'm not like that, to me, to be honest. But season 2 would be really nice. But if they're not doing a season 2, I mean, I guess we can wait, but anime these days tend to introduce a new anime of a manga or light novel, but never finish it at the end, is my main complaint about most of the anime and the manga that Japan anime or stuff like that. But that's my mini rant on it. But anyways, I did like the season 2, and I hope they don't go the filler route. And I hope it will become like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and kind of like Blue Exorcist season 2, where they cut out the anime only episodes and make the non-canon and go off the canon material. That's what I hope for Kakegurui, and I'll be glad to wait if there will be a season 2. But at the same time, I won't be disappointed.
Well, even though we had a anime only ending, I would like to see season 2. But from the way from that anime only ending was presented, it made me feel like that a season 2 is not really needed. And I haven't read further ahead in the manga because I only read 4 chapters before the series began airing. So, well, really, I would expect a special or OVA, but as an overall second season, it's most likely not to happen. But if there were to be a season 2, I'd like to see more games being presented, because I know there are like a couple of other student council members that Yumiko hasn't faced off yet, like the little lolly who has the most grotesque facial expression out of all the other council members, well, except for you made me the diva idol. But yeah, if there's a season 2, I would like to see Yumiko go up against the rest of the student council members and have a rematch with the other one who cheated. But overall, that's all I had to say about that one. I mean, if there's season 2, I would like that, and I would like to see that happen.
It would be a shame if it didn't have a season 2. I definitely would want one. If it didn't happen, that wouldn't be completely awful. I guess I should say, as Yuto said, it's not one that I'm definitely like craving super hard for, but I would definitely like to see a season 2 just because I really like the characters and the setting a lot. As I said, I would like to see more for maybe Sayaka, and just continue to make Suzui a little more relevant, because even though he is kind of like us, the audience, I would definitely like to see him take more of an active role in gambling and stuff like that, as well as some characters that may have been kind of dusted to the side, like Mary. Once again, going to that nail-biting scene, as bad as the scene was, I definitely want to see more of that kind of stuff in a way in season 2, just because it demonstrates like the character's resolve so much, and I love that. While it was completely outlandish and over the top, it just shows the resolve of all these characters, the same way as Lock-On mentioned, with Manyuda, like hair turning completely white and seemingly being hospitalized and in a coma. I think even his glasses just shattered for absolutely no reason. It was completely over the top and intense, but at the same time, it's a part of the universe, and I like it. It just shows the tension, the intensity, and like how much resolve these characters have, and how important it is to win at all costs. And I like that. So I would like to see more of that in season 2, and that's kind of the main reason I would like to also see a season 2. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with everyone else, whereas I don't mind that if they take a bit of a break to catch up to the source material, but I definitely want to see more of these characters. I do want to see more of Runa, who was the lolly girl. She didn't have too big of a role in this season, so I would like to see her more. Obviously, I want to see Suzui. I want them to convince me that Suzui's a good character and make me like him. Make him gamble a lot more on his own. I think not just with Yumiko, and of course we do have, as Dylan said, the new person that we saw, and that's sure to bring a ton of challenges for Yumiko and co. But apart from that, I think season 2 definitely it will be on my radar as soon as it gets announced. And looking forward to whatever they decide to do with this show, whether it be a couple of OVAs or whether they decide to decide to carry on with the manga that's going on. Just now that we're out of that climbing up the student council ladder arc, I guess you could call it, there's a lot more that I think they could do, and I just can't wait to see where they go with it.
Well said. And I think it's a pretty general consensus that we as the Backweeb boys would all approve. We would all watch a season 2 of Kakegurui, or an OVA if they choose to do that, or a movie, or whatever they decide to throw their funds at. But it's there's still a lot left to be desired in this universe, and so hopefully at some point, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, as everyone else said, and I do agree with that, but hopefully at some point we do get a season 2 announcement, and you can betcha that if there is a season 2 announcement, I definitely will be doing weekly reviews on this channel, and we'll definitely be doing another podcast, but that's way, way, way down the road. It would be kind of cool, though, to see a season 2 announced. And now here is the part that you've all been rating for. We are going to give our ratings on Kakegurui 1 to 10. We're just going to say a number, give just a brief explanation about it. And I will have, this is the first Backweeb Boys podcast, but in the future, I will have each of our top 5 shows based on our highest ratings and like what we gave a rating to the last one, so you can kind of compare on screen of which shows that each of us liked more than another person or something like that, or our highest rated shows that we've covered on podcasts, or, just kind of that way. But obviously that's irrelevant for this one. So, who wants to start? I'm actually going to choose to go last here. Anyone can start whatever they want to do.
I can go first. I would give Kakegurui a 7 out of 10, which I know that may sound kind of mediocre, but if a 10 is absolute perfection, and then 9 and 8 are like, pretty
seven
good,
is solid. Yeah, 7
is
solid.
Yeah. And I give it a 7 just because of the reasons I said. I wanted a little more from a lot of the characters. I wanted to see other characters do more things in terms of gambling, things like that. So that's kind of what I alluded to previously in the podcast. That's why I would pretty much give it a 7. But that's my rating.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I agree with Forte that I'd give it a 7. That's a first class honours if you're in university in the UK, so nothing to be, it's not shabby at all. Again, it really for me was the fact that it did just sort of die out towards the end, and just as I said at the beginning of the podcast, Yumiko's general ability to lose one round and then make a comeback in the next round, and none of the characters really said, no, I'm going to keep what I've won. And I know it's against their whole, not their beliefs, but I'm lost on the word. I know it's
motto,
Jesus.
or and I know the word you're looking for. I can't think of it either.
Yeah, good God.
Policy.
But that's really where I'm standing with it. It's a 7.
I'll give this anime an 8 out of 10 because of the fact that the whole gambling aspect. I wouldn't say it got me interested into gambling because that could ruin me for life. But no, it's just that the games that were presented has got me want to try these games out, probably with a sibling, like the rock paper scissors game with just using paper, like a piece of paper and just draw rock paper and scissors, and Yumiko was what kept me going with this show. And I just freaking love this girl. She's already on my on one of my favorite Bay lists. Who else on my Bay list? Well, you gotta find that out some other time. But Yumiko is officially a member of the Crimson Bays. Yeah, Crimson Bays. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Crimson Bays. It just rolls off the tongue.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So similar, because I give this, my rating is a 7.5. Wow. Okay, so yeah, I did like it. I even liked it up to Takaya and Mayuda. The reason why I gave it a 7.5 is because, like everyone said, it kind of flopped. The last finale wasn't strong enough for me, but it was really understandable because the anime had to make a new source material. So that was understandable, but it's kind of a shame. But at the same time, it's still a good, fun watch. Like, I still recommend it. It's not a bad show by any means. It's actually really good. Like, if you think 7.5 is a bad rating, it's actually not. It's actually a pretty good rating for me in terms. It's like decent anime. For me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's the thing. Numbers are arbitrary. A 7 for someone might mean horrible, but a 7 for someone else might mean really good. And a 7 for me is good. Like, unless you're under a 6, then like 6 or lower is like the stay away from zone. And it's funny because I wrote down anywhere from a 7 to 7.5. I'm not even kidding. That's where I was going to give this show, and that's literally where pretty much everyone put it. I'm going to go 7.3 just to be that guy, but I think it deserves to be kind of a low 7, basically for all the reasons stated. I still definitely recommend it. It's an enjoyable show, and there still is a lot to be desired, and it's maybe a little unlucky because if we're talking about a Kakegurui 5 years from now that has 40, 50 episodes, like maybe a normal kind of anime, and we can see all these characters develop, and maybe this, second half of the show is only a 7 or 8 episode show in hindsight when we have a full 50 episode Kakegurui, and the show could end up being an 8.5 or a 9 because I love the universe, I love the themes, I love the settings, and it's definitely an enjoyable show. And I think for anything, watch it in the event that we do get another season, because the next season should answer a lot of burning questions and will hopefully continue to impress. Now, obviously, the manga, if you want to go ahead and read that, you're more than welcome to. I don't know if any of us have read the manga, but, you know, it was a good show, and the possibilities are definitely endless and something to get very excited about. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Does anyone else have any final words before I close off the first Backweeb Boys podcast? I'm also going to give a quick shout out to Crimson, my boy Crimson, for getting us all into Kakegurui. He was the one who recommended it to me. I started watching. I said, damn, 2 episodes in, it's really awesome. And then Brad Forte and Lock On all joined us, and then here we are later doing an hour podcast on the show. So thank you, Crimson. And I hope you guys enjoyed the first of hopefully many Backweeb Boys podcasts regarding Kakegurui. Definitely leave your thoughts down below. And if there's any other changes you'd like to see to the format of these podcasts, of course, we're always down to hear suggestions. If you've made it this far, you guys seriously are amazing human beings. Thank you, as always, for watching. If anyone has any quick final shout-outs to subscribe to Brad's channel, go ahead. But are you guys good, or are we closing it up here?
I'm good.
I'm good. See you guys in the comment section or
it's lit.
Discord.
Yeah, see you guys in the comments. Thank you guys for watching.
Yep.
I hope you have an amazing day.
1, 2, 1